The idea of a piece of cardboard, a trading card, selling for multiple millions of dollars is something most of us can't even fathom. But recently, an Alpha Black Lotus, yes, a pristine, perfect Alpha Black Lotus, sold for $3 million on the secondary market in a private sale. And while this is exciting and all that, it got me thinking. This is something that most of us fans of Magic the Gathering will never experience in our lifetime, will never exist in that space. So why does something like this even matter? Well, I do think there's a couple things that this sale shows that make a big difference for regular people like you and I, and that's what I want to talk about today. So when we talk about these Magic the Gathering sales and how they affect, the future of our enjoyment of the game, the direction of the game, and maybe the path for new fans into and down the rabbit hole that is Magic the Gathering, the dollar amount of these sales is always kind of a point of contention. So I want to get this out of the way right now, and this is a great point for all TCG fans, Magic the Gathering fans, players, and collectors alike. Everyone's price point is different. The idea that Post Malone spent $2 million plus on the One Ring is much different than you and I going out and spending, a couple $1,000s on a Magic card. Everyone lives different lives, so we're just going to talk about these price points in general and not necessarily from the perspective of like, I'll never have $3 million to spend on a Magic card, so why even bother talking about this, and like why criticize what that sold for, what that was purchased at, and things like that. So with that out of the way, I do want to say that these massive vintage Magic the Gathering sales actually affect people like you and I far more than I think we are willing to admit, and it does so in many different ways, far beyond just outside of the can I afford this $3 million card or can't I? And I want to talk about that today, but before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're racing 8,500 subs and that's onward to 10K. All right. These sales prove something to me in our Magic the Gathering community. And it's something that I think is exceedingly important. In the last 4 to 5 years, let's call it, Magic has been on, well, let's just call it shaky grounds. We have seen a turnover in leadership. We have seen a change in direction in how product is printed, how much product is printed, and the release cycle in which products are sent out to people like you and I. We've seen our wallets taxed with premium sets, and all in all, there's been a lot of change. But the more things change, the more they stay the same, and massive sales like this remind me that albeit the vintage Magic the Gathering enthusiasts, if you will, the consumers, the fans, it's a much smaller, much more niche group, they are still very, very strong. And this group goes pretty wide as well. It's just like modern Magic the Gathering. It's just like all of us fans out there. It's not just crazy whales with tons of money in their pocket to spend. It is also people who play Legacy and play Vintage and like to play with their old cards for nostalgic purposes from, when they were kids, just enjoying the early phases of Magic the Gathering, back when you could get a Shivan Dragon traded for a Black Lotus because nobody wants this artifact. Shivan Dragon is the bomb. But I say all that to say this foundation in Magic the Gathering's history being strong is important, especially as our game and our community goes through various changes and controversies and ups, downs, and all arounds. This foundation is always something that could be rock solid, be there to look to, and it's a fan base that you're pretty much guaranteed is either priced in through emotional love or physical actual money price to stick around. And that's comforting to know that there's always that group out there. So that's just a small little point that's like, oh hey, this vintage Magic market is alive and well, and it's populated by some people really holding our game down through all of the ups and downs. But it also says something else to me, and I want to get a little bit Tinfoil Hatty really quick right off the top of this video right now, because I think it's some of the most fun I can have on the YouTube. I can't imagine that Wizards of the Coast is upset that there's a $3 million Black Lotus sale in the news right now. In fact, I think this is amazing publicity for the history of our game, and it's a warning shot to collectors of other games saying, hey, you want to reach for something, this is maybe the penultimate trading card. This might be the most sought after trading card of all time in the history of humanity. Nothing else could, may even come close. And with that in mind, Wizards of the Coast is definitely capitalizing on the fact that their game is seeing all these headlines. And because of that, it does incentivize Wizards of the Coast to make things collectible. Now, we believe here on this channel that there should be a balance in Magic the Gathering. The cards should be affordable to play. It doesn't mean they should be free. It doesn't mean they should all be given to all of us, but it should be affordable, and we should be able to get out there and play our favorite game at a fair price. But the antithesis of that is there should be versions. There should be something that we can be proud of, to collect, to chase, to add to a binder however we see fit. And that doesn't necessarily mean the most valuable thing. I've made it public. I own hundreds, I think at this point, hundreds of gilded foil charms from Streets of New Capenna. I just bought a full playset of the Hymn to Tarax with 4 different arts in the same set, little niche collections like this, because they're fun. And that aspect of our community must maintain itself, must be alive and well. And these are great reminders for Wizards of the Coast that, hey, while we all want to play the game and you can print all the commander things you want, we need an aspect of collectability, and that's going to help keep our community extremely healthy. It's also going to maintain some honesty in our community. It's going to help the new people in our community, or people who maybe aren't as invested in Magic the Gathering, know that there's a path. There's a much deeper area to this swimming pool, and there's a way you can go down it. Now, in my opinion, I don't think Wizards of the Coast does the best job right now of transitioning people from casual Magic fan playing Commander with your friends into the rabbit hole, and now you're playing multiple formats, and now you're also a collector, and now maybe you're looking at picking up duels and vintage Magic and things like that. In my opinion, I don't see the best path. And in fact, things like Magic 30th Anniversary Edition probably hurt that path, because if anyone was on the cusp about to make that exploration into vintage Magic, maybe even just old duels or things for their commander deck or anything like that, they were probably a bit turned off by the fact that, oh, wow, maybe these things could lose their value very quickly. Now, with a sale like this and vintage Magic and this expensive card being the spotlight, it kind of reignites these goals and this excitement for people who might not be as far down the Magic rabbit hole as you or I. The idea that there are these big sales, there's this whole other area to explore, and cards that are a part of Magic's history could draw people in. For instance, I know a new player that recently kind of discovered old school Magic the Gathering cards and started collecting a bunch of Ankh of Mishras. Like, they love that card, they want a bunch of them, and that's kind of their first transition into the old school collecting and cementing them as a Magic the Gathering fan. And remember, this old school Magic the Gathering collecting fills a void that we have right now with Magic the Gathering products. I've said it before on the channel and I'll say it again, the rapid release cycle pulls away some of that nostalgic love, that emotional tie that we can get to these Magic the Gathering products. But over time, and let me know in the comment section if you've experienced this before, as you get more invested, not financially, but like invested emotionally, physically, it's part of your fun, it's part of your routine in Magic the Gathering, you start to have a greater tie to these collections. And nothing does that better than when you buy your first couple really old Magic cards. They feel different, they smell different. When you play them down, they stand out on the table. Things like this are important for deepening those roots into the Magic community. And that's really important too, because most of us Magic fans, as outlined in the AltaFox article, I think it was like 2.5 years ago now already. Sheesh, wow, this channel's almost, I think it's 3 years old. This channel's 3 years old. That's crazy. But the roots of the Magic the Gathering fan are in the path of the Magic the Gathering fan is you're in the game, you quit for a while, and then you come back. Well, that coming back is the important part. We see Universes Beyond doing a great job of that, but old school Magic and having those ties to the things that you own, and the pride and the nostalgia and the pull to the things that you possess is important, and it helps us complete that comeback step. And sales like this just remind us that era exists. Wizards of the Coast should respect that era of Magic the Gathering, and that era of Magic the Gathering is extremely helpful to us because we need people in our community. We need Magic to continue to be attacked by all sides. And I know I'm going to get a million comments. Collectors are terrible. They're the worst. I don't understand where that comes from. That makes literally no sense to me. No, you can't buy out a Magic the Gathering card and hurt players. You can't do it. So why is people collecting Magic the Gathering? People buying expensive collector booster boxes. Why is that bad for Magic? The regular play booster box is still out there. Cards on the secondary market for things like Standard have never been more affordable, and Commander can be played at any power level. There's tons of channels out there about building Commander decks for insane budgets that you can get together with all your friends and have a ton of fun. So that's something I will never understand, but I will understand that sales like this keep us in the news, they keep us relevant, and they keep deepening those roots into our community. And frankly, it's a shot across the bow of anyone else trying to come out and make expensive collectibles. It's a reminder like, hey, this is the ultimate collectible. The same could be said if, as first edition Charizard sold at crazy numbers. It's going to remind the trading card game community the OGs are still here, they're still strong, and in my opinion, they're here to stay. And if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, share this video on a social media platform, anywhere where you discuss Magic the Gathering content, and I've had a blast today. Thank you so much for hanging out. Until next time, you guys know me. My name is Josh, and, well, we'll see you around. All right.